This is Moomen Tonight. Welcome. Many thanks for joining us. We bring you the real stories.
Abdallah, have you put pepper in the tea?
My environment alone will tell you that I'm rich.
I've chosen to be in one of the very shallow pits. They also do have miscreants, but it doesn't mean that all of them are criminals.
We do not have a good geo-database of our mineral resources.
This is a time for us to share the oil money.
So terrorism is not going to be accepted on this continent.
If they see them coming here and going back there, they'll be killed.
But God willing, I'll be back alive.
We're just about leaving on the night patrol with the AU forces here in Somalia.
The real issues, the real talk.
We are working together for the development of Ghana.
It means that we have separation of powers.
Already we're talking about moving from what? A deficit of some 9% to 6.5%.
The critical challenge that faces every leader in the world today is the issue of creating jobs.
We will put at least 1 million people to work.
Ghana, after 16 years, has a public structure that is not responsive.
Join me, Moomen Tonight, from Monday to Friday, 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. on GBC24.
Many thanks for joining us here on GBC24. This is Moomen Tonight. My name is Moomen, and tonight we focus our discussion on the creation of the new regions. Of course, you know that late last year, that was on the 27th of December, we went into a referendum to decide whether or not new regions should be created. The number was 6, and the number of people who turned out to voted yes for all the 6 regions to be created. But the regions couldn't have started working without a constitutional instrument, and since yesterday, the president as well as the ministers of state have been busily giving out the CIS to those concerned in order to kickstart the regions, and we've also been told about the capitals of some of these regions. But to what extent will the creation of new regions impact on the development of those areas? These and many more are the issues we intend to focus on as we engage our very, very able panelists in a discussion today. It's an all-ladies affair, and to my immediate left is Hon Frida Prempeh. Honorable is a minister of state. She's a deputy minister in charge of works and housing, but I'm sure that today, more importantly, she is the member of parliament for Tanoh North. Honorable, many thanks for joining us. I know you've been very busy, but you still made time to join us here, and I'm really grateful for that. We've also been joined by Madam Lawuratu MUsah-Saaka. Lawuratu is the secretary of the Savannah Region Strategic Committee, and so she was involved very much with the petition to, first of all, even go into the creation of the new region in the Savannah area. Lawuratu, thank you very much for joining us. Let me start the discussion with you, Honorable. You are in Parliament, and so you should know a lot about the CI to start with. But again, you are a member of the government, and so I think it is proper to ask you, what is it that really informed the decision of the government to even consider the creation of new regions to start with?
Well, let me say a very good evening to your cherished viewers, especially those who are watching me from my constituency, Tanoh North, in the Ahafo region, the newly created Ahafo region. And let me also say a very good evening to the President of the Republic, who has given us a very good birthday cake today, and he's even put on the icing, that's the CI 114, to establish the Ahafo region. We are very grateful. Let me say that in the first place, before the president, even in his campaign time, he told us that he was going to create additional regions, 6 additional regions. Our forefathers, our great-grandfathers, since the last 40 years ago, had been trying as much as possible to get out of the Bono Ahafo region and stand alone region as Ahafo. We've been fighting for this since the last 4 decades. And by the grace of God, somewhere in 1981, they petitioned the then government. They've sent a lot of petitions, a lot of proposals, a lot of, things that would create the interest in creating the new regions. But fortunately for us, this time around, the President of the Republic decided that it was time to give Ahafo and 5 other regions a new status. Well, I think that it's time for us to embrace it fully, because it's going to enhance a lot of things in the region. A lot of people have been asking, you asked me this afternoon, that what actually motivated this whole thing. What is it going to bring on for? What different is it going to bring? Because we created new regions about some years back. We've not seen much development and all that. I don't think we haven't seen much development. We have. But just that we are going to enhance what we have now. It's going to affect our decision making. We are talking about decentralization, bringing development to the doorsteps of the people. If 24 hours ago, if the budget for Bono Ahafo region was at least, let's say, about 10 Ghana cedis for the whole Bono Ahafo region of 24 constituencies. Now we have Bono region, we have the Bono East, we have Ahafo region. Definitely the government of the day is not going to share the 10 Ghana cedis among the 3 regions. We are going to have a budget for the region. Bono East is also going to have its budget for the region. So it's going to enhance development in the region no matter what. We're going to have a lot of developmental projects in the region. This afternoon I talked about all the regional hospitals. We're talking about healthcare, education. We have a university in Bono Ahafo, but we don't have a university in Ahafo region. So these are some of the things that we are looking forward to, so that we develop our region the way it's supposed to be. So yes, we're going to generate a lot of jobs, because if you're going to put up new universities, new health facilities, new schools, new police headquarters, regional fire service, regional this, regional that, definitely people are going to get jobs. Okay. In terms of even security, we're going to enhance security, because before today, we all used to travel from our part of Ahafo. Ahafo consists of 6 constituencies. The Tanoh North constituency, Tanoh South, Esutify North, Esutify South, Esunafo North, and Esunafo South. If there's anything, we have to travel to Sunyani in terms of security, health facilities, and all that. So we are looking forward to enhance security even in the region as well, with the creation of new regions as well. We have a lot of resources in our parts of or Ahafo region. The president mentioned that he talked about a diamond, he talked about bauxite, he talked about oil. We have a lot of cocoa coming from our area. We have a lot of maize, a lot of foodstuffs from our area. So all these things, it's going to enhance economic empowerment in the constituency, in the region. People are going to find markets for their produce. So it's going to boost, economic activities in the newly created region. So we have a lot to benefit from.
I'll come back to some of the issues that you have raised, especially concerning the issue of decentralization. Yes. And maybe you need to give us a justification of why you believe so much that decentralization will work this time, because over the years...
Did it work over the years? Are you sure?
I'm not too sure that it has worked to perfection, the way we all expect it to work. I have evidence that I can show to you if you want, and I can bring that to your office, where stories that I have personally done.
You don't have it 100%,
delays in getting to the assemblies. We
by that get to the assembly and they utilize the district assembly common for that. The district
so I said I'll come to you and ask you questions concerning that, but I'll also ask you about the natural resources. If the natural resources haven't been able to help the people of Ahafo, even though they were part of Bono region, what are the assurances that now that you have a region called Ahafo region, those natural resources will be utilized in the favor, or to the advantage of the people? I'll come to you. I'll just give you some of the questions that I intend to ask you. But Lawuratu, you were very much part of the process at the very beginning of appealing and petitioning the government to get a Savannah region. But again, why?
Well, I mean, we don't need to belabor the point, and even before I answer your question, I mean, we also like to, on behalf of the people of Savannah region, show appreciation and thank the President. And I also have to say a good evening to Jerai Bonra, being the lead petitioner and leading such a worthy cause. Because, I mean, this has been long coming. I mean, some say 40 years, some say 30 years, but I believe the struggle for a new region, and now Savannah region, predates some of us. Why? I mean, if you look at Northern region as it was, that was 1/3 of the whole of Ghana. 1/3. Thus Ghana divided into 3, Northern region was 1. And out of that 1/3, Savannah region as constituted now was 53% in terms of land mass. And if you want to bring it broader, Savannah region as constituted now was 16.4% of the land mass of Ghana. So you can imagine the length and breadth, over 70,000 square kilometers of an area, part of a whole region.
Also,
that alone.
Yeah, you are focusing on the land mass, but I was also looking at population, and I compared it to the most recent figures we have from the Ghana Statistical is it the census that we conducted recently, and I found that when you add the numbers in the then northern region and you compare that to the small land mass in Accra and the number of people Accra alone is holding, you find the difference is so huge that per numbers alone, Accra should be divided into 4 regions if numbers is anything to go by. You're just talking about land mass?
Has it also occurred to you that the vastness of the land has also contributed to the lack of development to the area? And moreover, you're talking about population. Who wants to add on to an already populated area? We are looking at space that we can develop to enhance their country. You're talking about numbers in Accra that can make Accra 4 regions. But if the other periphery regions, Savannah region, Northeast, Ahafo, are now going to be developed, don't you think it will lessen the pressure on Accra, being the regional capital? We need to look at it that way. Land mass is an issue. Travel distances. Imagine someone traveling all the way from Bole to Tamale just to sign a document. But now that we have Savannah region, it's less than 45 minutes from Bole to Damangu, which is the capital of activity. Travel time is reduced. Wear and tear of vehicles is reduced. You name it.
So for you, getting a region now known as Savannah region will bring speed in terms of development.
Exactly.
I'll come back to you, because talking about how close Damango is to places like Bole and maybe Daboya and so on, Salaga has an issue. And we'll be playing a video later on for you to see what happened in Salaga, and the issue had to do with the siting of the capital. I'll come to that again in respect of Ahafo, where we haven't had any incident at all, but for Honorable to tell us what informed the decision of not just Goso, but also the other capitals that have been named by the President. But Honorable, let me come back to you on the issue of decentralization. You say it has worked, and that in this particular case, the creation of the new regions will further enhance decentralization. I have my doubts, because when you look at the recent creation of new districts, for instance, you go to some of the districts and the district assemblies do not even have offices within which to operate. Decentralization, we haven't perfected it.
Then definitely we are going to talk about the fact that the regional capitals will also have offices to operate with. You have to start from somewhere. Tanoh constituency, some years back, used to be one constituency. It used to be Tanoh constituency before it was divided into the north and the south constituency to also enhance development. And I think it has really worked. Before it was divided into 2, the MP for that area used to travel the length and breadth of the whole community. And the communities are miles apart. Even within Tanoh North constituencies, of that times, if I want to travel from Bianquanta to, let's say, Bafokrom within my constituency, it takes me like 1.5 hours. Let alone traveling from Bianquanta to Nyani, like she rightly said. So in terms of proximity, in terms of productivity, it enhances productivity as well. I was a member of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. I was the assembly member for Lako between 2002 to 2010. That time we had 13 constituencies consisting of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Now it's been subdivided into districts and municipal assemblies to enhance development, to ensure that assembly members relate closely to the people or to the constituents or the electorate. So no matter what, once it's been divided, now we don't have Ahafo region as 24 constituencies. We have Ahafo region as 6 constituencies. So that it will be manageable for whoever is going to be responsible for the region. Then the regional minister playing oversight responsibility on 24 constituencies. When you travel from Sudan, for instance, to Atebubu or Yeji or Prime, it's miles apart. Even to Kintampo, recently I went for a funeral in Honorable Addo's Navrongo.
Yes.
And I had to travel even from Sunyani. It took me about 9-10 hours to get to Navrongo. Passed through Bole, blah blah blah, but that's all. So now that the region has been created to enhance decision making, to bring development back to the people. You talked about resources. Yes, we do have resources. Those in charge, the municipal and district assembly, the chief executives, the regional ministers, we're working so hard to ensure to enhance the resources that is available to us as a region. But now that we only have six constituencies, it's going to be easier for us to enhance whatever we have. The president is talking about Ghana beyond aid. I've always said and told myself that Ghana, like the president said some time ago, is not a broke country. We have all the resources at our disposal. It's up to us to add value to what we have. We have bauxite, we have diamond, we have gold, we have cocoa. Now we have oil in our part of the Ahafo region. Very soon you see that I think we have oil somewhere in my constituency, Konado. So we are going to enhance that. We've done some feasibility studies around the area some years ago during the Akufo administration, and we are still working on that. I made a statement on it in Parliament, the last Parliament, my first Parliament. So in terms of the decentralization that you talked about, I think definitely it's going to enhance it. We've already experienced it with some divisions and, creation of the new districts and new municipal assemblies and the creation of new constituencies as well. So definitely you cannot compare the centralized kind of administration to what we are going to have now.
I'll come back to and then we will look at some tangibles from you, because your constituency used to be Tanoh constituency, and then it became Tanoh North. And
that time I wasn't an MP, but it used to be one constituency. When it was divided into the north and south, then I contested.
So I would like to ask you still, because you are still an MP.
Yes,
in that area.
Still very strong in Tanoh North constituency. But the only female MP from the whole of Ahafo and now the whole of Ahafo.
Congratulations.
Yes,
but the question the question will be whether or not you've seen any significant development come to the area because of the demarcation, the separation of Tanoh North and Tanoh South. But that's for later. Let me bring Lawuratu again into the picture. Honorable has been telling us about natural resources. I know the Savannah region quite well. And I know that it's the homeland for the Mole Park, among other tourist attractions and so on. But again, I also do know, talking about decentralization, that not long ago, the Boya Enclave became the North Gonja district from the Damango district, and so it was carved out. Yet, as we speak, you can't get to Daboya on a smooth road. You have to go at a point by canoe. We haven't seen much development, and so I'm still at a loss.
I think you haven't been to Daboya in a long while, because now you can access Daboya through Busno. So you don't
that's a very long journey if you need to come from the eastern.
But if you say you have to just do canoe, there are alternatives, right? But now that we have Savannah region, you're talking about moving from Tamale to maybe Daboya. But if you are moving from Daboya to Damango through Busno, it's not such a long journey. Talking about natural resources, I mean, if I'm going to name the resources in Savannah region, I think we might not leave yet. We have oil, we have hydrocarbons, we have gold in the Bole area, hydrocarbons in the east. When you look at the seismic map of GMPC, we have oil. When it comes to agriculture, I'm yet to know what will grow on the soil.
So then that brings me back to the same question I asked the Honorable. If it hasn't served the purpose all this while, what is the assurance? Where is the guarantee that this time, merely because there's a new region, it's going to serve the people?
I mean, the fact that every regional minister, probably from Nkrumah's time, has agitated for the split of the northern region is enough justification that working within that terrain is difficult. And we are better off dividing it into manageable sizes to bring effectiveness to development and effectiveness to decentralization. You spoke about North Gonja. North Gonja is not the only district that has come out of the West Gonja district. Central Gonja came out of West Gonja district. In actual fact, for a long time, the whole enclave of Damango Daboya, Bipe, Bole area was West Gonja. So we've evolved, and we further have to give effectiveness to decentralization. And this creation of regions, I think, is the major boost. Because at the end of the day, it even gives you the opportunity to further divide into districts and municipalities and even metropolitan assemblies to make it easier to manage, because it's vast. Moving around is difficult. Imagine a regional minister, let's say, moving from Nalerigu or Wale to Bole. The distance, the terrain. But now we have 3 regions, 2 now in addition to the current northern region. Like Honorable said, now that's 3 times the budget for northern region, unlike having 10 cities like she said for all these 3. That's 1/3 of the landmass of Ghana. We need to really look at it. Look at the natural resources in Savannah region. I've spoken about gold. You're talking about tourism. There's the Mole Park. There's the Mystic Stone. We have other tourist attractions that we haven't been able to develop because of the pressure on resources.
Okay.
Do you know that the Volta, the white Volta, and the black Volta meet in Central Gunja? That's another opening for tourism. No, it can be prioritized.
Great. Honorable, let me come back to you now. So recently I have noticed that the Ministry of Local Government has put on its website, positions that people can apply for jobs, and I am tempted to believe that it's because of the creation of these new regions. But we also know that we have been told by several finance ministers that the national purse is overburdened because of the number of employees under government employment, and so this is going to further stress that national purse. More people have to be employed to work directly for the government and take from the consolidated fund. So in answering that, I would also like you to tell me, when the separation happened, Tanoh North and Tanoh South were born out of Tanoh constituency. You are the MP there. Are there any tangibles that you can point to and tell us that it is because of the creation of these new constituencies that those developments came up?
Well, I can't speak for the finance minister and I can't speak for the government on this call. I believe so many factors have been taken into consideration before the regions were given the CI this afternoon. So in terms of the government purse, yes, you cannot rule out the fact that it's going to affect the government purse, but I believe systems and structures have been put in place to ensure that, like the president said, we have equitable distribution across the constituencies in all the regions, as in the Ahafo region and the Savannah region as well. So in terms, we're also going to generate a lot of resources, a lot of money from within the Ahafo region itself. The municipal and district assemblies are also going to make some money. We are going to enhance the resources that we have. We're going to add value to what we have. So as much as the government pay is going to be affected, the affected regions are also going to generate some money to ensure that development projects are carried out. With the Tanoh constituency, definitely yes, it has affected development because the former MP was in charge of the Tanoh constituency as a whole. Used to travel from Bechem through Denmark to Techimbentia to all the other, towns and communities. Then Tanoh North, you're talking about Drian Kwanta, the district capital now. Talking about Boma, Yamfo, Teche, Adroba. All these communities were under one MP and one district assembly even at the time. So definitely getting in touch with the grassroots at that time definitely would have been difficult, was difficult than it is now. Now it's been divided into two. We have a an MP in charge of Tanoh North constituency, another MP in charge of Tanoh South constituency. As an MP, my core mandate is to ensure that we enact good laws that will affect all of us, play oversight on the executive as well, and also to lobby to get projects to your constituency. So if I'm lobbying to get projects to Tanoh North, my colleague MP from Tanoh South will also be lobbying to get projects or development projects to his constituency. So definitely the development projects within the constituency will be enhanced in terms of infrastructure, roads, hospitals and housing and all that. Now that we have 16, we will be having 16 constituencies by Friday. By Friday.
Yes.
Even housing, I'm coming from Manufacturing Ministry. We are also going to ensure that all these new regions, all these constituencies have some shelter, because housing is very important. You cannot rule out the fact that we all need shelter, we all need roofs over our heads. So we're going to reach out to all the communities, we'll reach out to the constituencies. So in all the sectors, education is going to be enhanced, health facilities is going to be enhanced, security is going to be enhanced. So you cannot rule out the fact that before today, the regional minister for Branhafo, controlling 29 constituencies, was quite a hectic job for him to do, to travel all the way from Sunyani to Atebubu to Yeji to Prime to King Tampo and all that. Now, Techimai is now a regional capital, and Gos is also now a regional capital. Now, currently, the regional minister, the president has said that she is going to play oversight on the newly created region. So we have, he nominates and appoints a substantive minister.
I have evidence. As a journalist, I went to a very remote area in the northern region, and they told me since they knew, and I was talking to very old people, that it was just one regional minister who had ever visited them, who had ever come to the area. And so I went to that regional minister. I mean, there was a different person there. So there's a community known as, is it Lonto or so? I've forgotten the name, in the around between northern region and Volta region. They say you haven't been there. They said it's so far away. It didn't even occur to him that he could go there.
You attest to the fact that it is important to bring development very close to the people.
I do. That one, no doubt about that. But Lawuratu, let's talk now about some people and their attitude towards which areas have been chosen as capital. And Honorable, I'll come to you on that same point as well. I'd like us to play a short video. Yesterday, our reporter gave us an account of some young persons in Salaga who were not happy about the choice of Damongo as the regional capital for the Savannah region, and they engaged in some untoward acts. We'll bring that short story, and when we return to the studio, I'll take the views of Honorable as well as Lawuratu on the factors that were considered before the choice of those areas as regional capitals.
I was shocked by the development in Salaga, because yesterday, once behind the news, I indicated that the Savannah region appears to be the most peaceful in terms of the creation of the new region and the cycle of capital. all the chiefs in the Savannah region have come together to unanimously agree that Damango should be the capital. So we are all shocked that these developments are coming in from Salaga. And yes, I can confirm that there is the FPP office in Salaga has been touched. We received some videos and we have sources in Salaga who have told us that it has been touched by some youth within the Salaga township who are not particularly happy by the naming of Damango as the regional capital. The police have taken over from town, and most of the youth have returned now. They are trying to also put out the fire that has engulfed the building. So we cannot say the total calm now. However, the police have taken over.
No. All right. So you just saw that video. Not to give credence to what happened there, but people have genuine concerns. Maybe the concerns are born out of ignorance, the fear. And that same goes to all the other regions, including the Ahafo region. The fear is that, okay, so now that the regional capital has gone to Damango or has gone to Gosso, it means that all the development will be based in Gosso and Savannah and Techiman and so on. That is the fear of the people. What is the plan to ensure that there's equitable distribution of the resources?
Moomen, before I even go into what you ask, and I think we need to make it clear that what happened in Salaga yesterday was unfortunate and regrettable. And if you've been following the news today, a few statements have been issued apologizing to the president and another one condemning the whole incident. For Savannah region, I mean, from the get-go, Damango was what we proposed in our petition. And it will interest you to know that even with the name, proposed name of the region, we proposed 3 names: Guan, Savannah, and Rivers. That's in our presentation to the Commission of Inquiry. When it came to the capital, Damango was the only proposal we made. When the commission came into Savannah region, they started from Tamale, because Tamale was then our regional capital. There we had about, because it wasn't our home ground, we had about 1,000 to 2,000 people coming. And the few people who spoke to make a case for Savannah region made a case for Damango. I think there was only one person who had a contrary view. And even before the person could finish his submission, the whole room was noisy. You could see the support for Damango. Same happened in Damango. The person who made justification for it was someone from the east, not because he was against any other place being the capital, but because we had all agreed in principle and towards the development of our area to go for Damango. We went to Bole, it was the same. We went to Bipe, it was the same. We went to Sola, it was the same. Salaga, we were there. We had 82,000 plus people coming out. We made a strong case for Damango. And what a lot of people don't know, those who know, but what a lot of people don't know is that Damango has been our traditional capital since 1942. It used to be Nyanye, but due to some traditional issues, it was moved to Damango since 1942. We have Yebora's Damba. Yebora lives there. We have Yebora's Damba in Damango. We have most of our major occasions in Damango. So it was the obvious choice. How did Salaga came in? This agitation came in probably a few weeks ago when people thought, okay, they had their own issues, they had their own interests. So we all thought it was one of those things because we had crossed higher hurdles.
Okay.
We had to compromise on Pandai. Nobody paid anything. There were a lot of compromises that were reached. Capital was one of, should I say, for lack of a better expression, was one of the most insignificant issues. So like I said, we condemn it as regrettable. They've apologized, and I think we should move on. And moreover, like you said, out of ignorance, what a lot of people also don't know is that unlike those days that we used to have everything concentrated in the regional capital. It's not the same anymore. The fact that Damango is the regional capital doesn't mean everything, be it a university campus, be it a regional capital, be it a security installation, be it a military base, is going to all be concentrated in Damango. Then how do we give credence to the fact that we want our area develop? How do we give credence to the fact that we want to enhance decentralization?
Okay. Honorable, let me come back to you, and based on what Lawuratu just ended with. You specifically mentioned, and you even brought in your Ministry of Housing, and said you embark on projects to ensure that houses are built for purposes that will encourage, more activities in the newly created regions. And so somebody listening to you will then say, okay, so if Goso is the capital, it means that Goso will get all these houses that Honorable Deputy Minister is talking about, and that is the fear.
Let me also add my voice in condemning what happened in Salaga yesterday. It's unfortunate. I think it was on a sport decision. Something possible. So we all condemn it. I believe so many factors were taken into consideration before the regional capitals were the names were taken. And secondly, a lot of consultations have gone on. In my region, for instance, we have 6 constituencies, and all the 6 constituencies cannot have regional capitals. You can't give it to Duankwanta, give it to Boso, give it to Kukom, give it to Bechim, give it to Achinsu and all that. It has to go to one area. And the most important thing is the new region that we have now. That is the most important thing. We are all craving for a new region. And like she rightly said, when we're going around campaigning, educating people on why we should vote yes for the new region and all that, we told them that the most important thing for us now is the regions. When we get to that river, we'll cross. As for the regional capital, it was the least thing said at the time. So if it's like she's saying, a lot of broad consultations went on, a lot of decisions were taken in place. Even the president, after the referendum and all that, had to put together a 7-member committee under the able leadership of Honorable Dambotri to also do broader consultations before coming up with the names. I'm coming from Duankwanta, somebody comes from Bitim, somebody comes from Goso. So the most important thing is now we have the region, we have the regional capital. The president did not miss words on that. He talked about equitable distribution. And like we rightly said, we are not going to focus all our attention or put all our eggs into one basket at Goso. We can have the military base somewhere else. We have the regional hospital somewhere else. We have the regional. There are some core institutions that cannot be couched out of the regional capitals, but there are other institutions that can also go to other areas. In our traditional regions and the regional capitals, all these institutions are somehow centered in one area. But now the president is trying to give a new dimension to this whole new regions. He's trying to ensure that we have equitable distribution, equitable institutions, programs, projects across the length and breadth of the newly created region. So nobody should think that because Goso has been named as a regional capital, we're going to focus everything, all the projects are going to go to Goso. No. They're going to spread away. We want to give a new dimension to this whole regional capitals and institutions and namely all the other issues. We make sure that the 7-member committee took a lot of things into consideration before maybe informing the president that this is what was contained in the various petitions. After broader consultations, after the stakeholder engagement, after listening to the people back and forth, looking at population, land size, development, so many things might have gone into place. This is where we think the regional capital, if it goes to this particular community or constituency, to do us more good than we have before.
We'll begin to wrap up now, but I'll end the show with you, Honorable, because you are a Minister of State, and so the question I'm going to ask, I'll start with Lawuratu, is we've spoken so well about the reasons why we all needed to support the creation of the new regions and why we must come together to ensure that it works. But at the same time, we should begin to manage the expectations of people, because all the things that you have said paint for me a very beautiful, and forgive my word, utopian picture that in a short while people will begin to sit up and say, this is not what we were promised?
Well, I don't think we've promised anyone the moon throughout our processes. For Savannah region, I can't talk for other regions. But we started with 3 committees. The Education Committee, Coordinating Committee, Finance Committee. And the Education Committee did a lot of work on the ground. Sensitization, trying to let people understand what it is. Development won't come in a day. And we also made it emphatic that it also depends on our attitudes. We need to be ready and hungry for that development. It's a new dawn. 6 more regions, that alone is enough motivation. Knowing that now I have responsibility for a certain space. You now don't have the luxury to blame another person for not coming to visit you, to blame another person for not prioritizing your area. Because even though all the new regions are diverse, there's some sort of like interlink amongst the various ethnic groups. Like in our area, we have over 30 ethnic groups, but we've lived together for so long, it's like it's one ethnic group. We know our challenges, we know what our issues are. It's up to us to brace this new opportunity and make it great. And for us in Savannah region, we want to make our region a masterpiece. And that's what we've told ourselves. What happened in Salaga yesterday, like I said, is regrettable, unfortunately. It's just a flash in the pan. We've gotten over it. We are moving on. And I'm sure in some months or let's say years to come, we'll probably be having a conversation on how well we've done. As a region.
And that's exactly what I wanted to say. That I wish that a year from today we'll all be alive, God willing. We'll be back here to analyze a year after the creation of the regions, which the 2 ladies here advocated for, and how far or how backward we have gone as a nation. Let me wrap up with you, Honorable. So you are a Minister of State. You know what it is like when people, and you're a politician, when people have high expectations and those expectations are not met. They are deflated, and it could even affect you politically.
Well, let me also say that development is a process. You can't have it overnight. As much as the expectation is so high, the onus is on all of us to coordinate well, to collaborate well, to ensure that we do the right thing. We work so hard within our constituencies in the newly created regions. Development is not going to come from heaven as manna. You have to work it out yourself. You have to work it out with our politicians and those who have been put in some strategic places to ensure that these things are done and done well. So let me just take this opportunity once again to thank our traditional authorities who have really championed this cause. All of us, the 6 members of parliament in the Ahafo region, myself, Secretary, and all the others, and all the MMGCs, the opinion leaders, each one of us who have contributed to bringing this whole Ahafo thing into fruition. We are very grateful to all of you and to the President. But I know the expectation is so high, but let me plead with you that we all have to work together. It's a collective effort. It's not only the President who's going to bring everything to our newly created regions. We have to enhance what we have. We have to add value to our resources. We have to add value to what we have as a new region, so that at the end of the day we can all sit up and say, yes, we prayed for a new region. The President gave it to us. We have a CI today, and then the next 24 months or the next 12 months, definitely we should be seeing some difference and some development. But it depends on all of us. It's a collective effort.
Thank you very much, ladies, for coming. I'm particularly grateful to both of you because the notice was very short. Yet you were able to come here. And Honorable has also been very busy throughout the day, and she also came here. Thank you so very much. Before we go, in fact, we'll be going, but as we do so, my producers will ensure that today's activity, we saw Honorable on the grounds at the Jubilee House today, but we also heard the president speak. We have that story. As a wrap up, please ensure that we play that story just to refresh the minds of people on what has happened so far. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. We are grateful that you came, and thank you too for being a part of the show. We'll see you tomorrow, but enjoy the story that we got today from the CI as it was presented to the people of Ahafo.
In the country and houses a number of institutions. Factors such as geographical location, land size and population among others informed the choice at the community level to decide the capital there. 1986 was the year the people of Ahafo began their fight for a new region. Since then, several petitions have been written to successive governments to create the regions, but that did not materialize. Finally, today, by signing the attestation instrument and presenting the CI 114 to them, the people of Ahafo can now call themselves a region, with Goso as the capital.
The road will be rough, but Your Excellency, we know and believe that your love and hard work in the country, the Almighty God will see the people of Ghana through. The people of Ahafo are very grateful and will pray to the Almighty God to help you in your quest to build Ghana beyond aid. Where the determination exists, failure can never dismantle the flag of success. God bless Ahafo and make Ghana, our nation, great and strong through you as president.
The minister in charge of the creation of the regions is Mr. Dan Botwe.
On the 28th of February 2017, the Council of Ahafo Chiefs sent a petition to your high office. And the petition was signed by Nana Akufo-Addo Omanhene of Yamfo Traditional Area, President of Ahafo Council of Chiefs. And that was what was on their letterhead. Today, after going through all the processes, Council of Ahafo Chiefs and their people are here for you to give them the final instrument, the constitutional instrument as stated in Article 5.8, so that finally Ahafo region will become a reality.
President Akufo-Addo said government will continue to bring development closer to the people. He said a new region with 20 million Ghana cedis as seed money is the beginning of a brighter future.
Until the appointment of a substantive regional minister for Ahafo, I have asked the current regional minister for Brong Ahafo, the Honorable Evan Sopoku Bobie, Member of Parliament for Asnafo North, to act as caretaker minister. Goso has also been chosen as the capital of the Ahafo region. I want to assure residents of the region, however, that government projects and structures will be equitably spread across the region. This, Nananum, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning of a better and brighter future, not only for Ahafo, but also for Mother Ghana.
Ahafo is the fourth region so far to receive a constitutional instrument after Northeast, Savannah and Bono East regions. 2 more regions are yet to receive their constitutional instrument. Tachiman has the biggest market in the country and houses a number of institutions. Factors such as geographical location, land size and population among others informed the choice at the community level to decide the capital there. The Bono East is now the 13th region established by Constitutional Instrument 113. More than 95% of the people voted yes in the referendum. The Minister for Reorganization and Development, Mr. Dan Botwe, commended the President for creating the new regions.
It is said that without a vision, a people perish. That's Proverbs 29:18. Changing the map and face of the nation so decisively, when others simply could not see what you meant, shows clearly how you were a visionary leader and you were far-sighted.
The President of the Buna Ahafo Regional House of Chiefs, Pim Nana Akufo-Addo, thanked the President for fulfilling his promise of the new region.
We have remained united and fought together with a common purpose. Recently, there has been some form of competition for the searching of the regional capital, which gained media attention. In a meeting with the Minister of Regional Reorganization and Development, Honorable Dan Kwaku and his deputy, Honorable Martin Ajay Mensa Kosa, at Sunyane, I, on behalf of the coalition of chiefs for Bono East, assured them that the competition for the capital cannot and will not divide us. Let me say here again, Your Excellency, that all the chiefs in the Bono East are united behind your vision and choice of a suitable capital for us.
President Akufo-Addo said Bono East should experience development like other parts of the country.
The creation of the 6 new regions presents us with the opportunity to serve better the needs of the people from these new regions through the effective and efficient reorganization and distribution of our public services and infrastructure. With the coalition from Bono East described by the Brobe Commission as, quote, one of the most organized, unquote, I appeal to you to support government's efforts in developing the new region. I'm happy to inform you that Techiman has been chosen as the capital.
President Akufo-Addo called on all to support the efforts of the new region to develop.
This is Moomen Tonight.
Welcome. Many thanks for joining us.
We bring you the real stories.
Abdallah, have you put pepper in the tea?
My environment alone will tell you that I'm rich.
I've chosen to be in one of the very shallow pits. They also do have miscreants, but it doesn't mean that all of them are criminals.
We do not have a good geo-database of our mineral resources.
This is a time for us to share the oil money.
So terrorism is not going to be accepted on this continent.
If they see them coming here and going back, they will be killed.
But God willing, I'll be back alive.
We're just about leaving on the night patrol with the AU forces here in Somalia.
The real issues, the real talk. We are working together for the development of Ghana.
It means that we have separation of powers.
Already we're talking about moving from what? A deficit of some 9% to 6.5%.
The critical challenge that faces every leader in the world today is the issue of creating jobs.
We will put at least 1 million people to work.
Ghana, after 16 years, has a public structure that is not responsive.
Join me, Moomen Tonight, from Monday to Friday, 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. on GBC24.